Hey guys, we're here today to take a look at the Epic Evolution Ruthless Rampage Allosaurus from Mattel's Jurassic World toy line. And here's the Epic Evolution packaging. If I take the Allosaurus out, you can see in the background this really nice kind of mountainous range. It does look a bit like Isa Nublar. You've got like a grassy field and then the mountains in the background and the sun setting there. So that's quite a nice background. And then on the back, just a picture of the dinosaur and its action features. And this is another quite large-scale Allosaurus, which hopefully means that from this point onwards, all the Allosauruses we get are going to be this larger size, like the battle damage one was. Because I always found the Allosaurus to be a bit too small before. I wasn't that keen on the smaller ones. And they always had a hard time standing up as well, whereas these larger ones seem a lot more sturdy. Articulation, the arms will fold outwards like that. They're very tight, because they're on ratchet joints, which is good. Because some of those older Allosauruses had very loose joints, which would make it even more difficult to get them to stand up. But on this, it's really stiff, actually, these joints. Same on the legs, they're on ratchet joints. The legs only go backwards that far, and then forwards that far. But really, that's all you need to get kind of looking upwards or looking downwards. And because of the way the legs are posed, it's not like you can have kind of one forward and one back like that, because it won't stand up. So I think the range of motion, even though it's slightly limited, is really all you'd need anyway. But the back legs don't pivot outwards on this. On a lot of the older figures, the back legs would have a pivot to kind of go outwards like that, but this doesn't. And I noticed that Triceratops, that big Triceratops we got, didn't have that either. So I don't know if they're phasing out the leg pivots, which is a bit of a shame, because sometimes that could be useful in getting the dinosaur to stand up if you're having trouble balancing it. But also the feet on this will kind of pivot there at the ankle as well, but I never find that very useful, and it just makes the kind of sculpt break up. I don't really like that very much. And then the tail here will bend from side to side a little bit as well. And the tail is kind of a soft rubbery plastic, I guess for safety reasons. And that will spin round too if you wanted, but breaks up the sculpt, so really it's just to go kind of side to side like that. There are two action features for this Allosaurus, and the first one is activated by a wheel on the back here rather than a button. It's a wheel, and when you spin it round, it makes the head move either down or upwards and the mouth open. And what I like about this is that it actually holds the head and the mouth in various different poses. Normally with the older figures you'd press the button and it might make the head move and the mouth open, but as soon as you took your finger off the button, the mouth would close. So for posing the dinosaur, you were kind of stuck with the mouth always closed. But with this, if you push the wheel and have it getting into a pose, it will hold that pose, which is pretty cool. I like that. So this is the best activation kind of button that we've had, in my opinion. So you can get it to stay in some great poses like this, or with its head facing downwards like that, as if it's sniffing the ground or something. And you can spin the wheel forward or backwards, it doesn't matter. But I think that's covered pretty much all the noises that it makes, the different roars and things and grunts. Now for the second action feature, there's a button on the back here, just as the tail connects to the body. And if you pull that back, it makes these spines pop out. And I guess that's the Epic Evolution. And I don't know if this is going to be something that features in the new cartoon, that maybe the dinosaurs have had genetic alterations to make these pop out like that. And that's what they look like extended, and you can see the button there as well. On the thigh here you can see some claw marks with this kind of battle damage where dinosaurs scratched him and scarred him. But that bit there opens up and you can see the app code in there. And I prefer this way of activating the app code rather than the bit the kind of the panel that would slide out on some of those ones we had a year or so back. I never liked that. Made it look like the dinosaur was a robot or something. I mean, this kind of does as well with the panel that opens up, but I still like it better than the sliding feature. I'd really prefer it was on the foot still, like it was on the original figures though. Got some more claw marks there on the snout, and you can see there that it's got this cartoony look, which will show up more when I do a comparison with the battle damage Allosaurus. Because at first glance this looks like a typical Allosaurus really, because of the colour scheme and that. But it's actually a very different sculpt. But I do love the sculpt along the back here, where it's got all these extra bony protrusions. And more of a kind of plated look along the back there. Looks really nice. You see, the teeth on this Allosaurus are a soft rubbery plastic. They're not part of the same sculpt as the mouth, and they've just been glued in there, but it looks a lot better than what we normally get, where the teeth are kind of all moulded together and just painted. Because these are this soft rubber and it's a separate piece, they look a lot more sharp and pointed, even though they're actually soft and rubbery. So it looks a lot nicer. And I'll compare with the other Allosaurus so you can really see what I mean here, but I love how they've done the teeth on this one. Here you can see better inside the mouth there, those teeth and the dark tongue. Mouth opens nice and wide, it's cool. So you can have him really roaring up at the sky. And now for a comparison, here's the new Allosaurus with the battle damage Allosaurus. And I'm only going to compare these two because all the other Allosauruses were a lot smaller, and they pretty much had the same sculpt as this one. They were just smaller, except for that first Allosaurus, which I think most people consider a juvenile now. And it had very soft design features, but I never really liked any of those smaller Allosauruses. These two are going to be my go-tos now. And even though they're both recognisably Allosaurus, because they're the same colour scheme and they've both got the ridges on the head, you can see how different they are too, with the more animated design of the new one. But you could just use one as a female and one as a male. So I don't think those differences really matter too much to me. They still look like they are the same species. And I think they both look great together actually. That new one has kind of a lighter colour scheme to it as well, adding to that animated feel. The blues and the kind of grey colour. It's a bit more greeny than grey on the new one, whereas on this one it's more of a grey-brown colour. You can also see here what I mean with the hands. How on this old one they're facing downwards, and on the new one they're facing kind of inwards and upwards. And I like that they're both different like that as well. There's no point buying the same dinosaur looking the same, which was my problem with all the other Allosauruses, that most of them looked pretty much the same, even though they had different gimmicks and they were a slightly different sculpt. They basically just looked the same over and over. I like it when they do give them some different detailing just to differentiate them a bit, so it's just, you're not feeling like you're just buying the same thing over and over again, but with a different action feature. You see here they're pretty much the same length. See what I mean about the teeth on that older one compared to the new one? I think they look a lot better now. You can also see they've both got that dark blue tongue that I mentioned. But on that original one, the spines going down the back are a lot thinner and smaller, and it hasn't got the bony protrusions along the side of the back the way the new one has. Look really cool. If you're wondering what that stick is, I just jammed it in the button on the back of the battle damage Allosaurus to hold the mouth open. I really like the body sculpt on this new Allosaurus with the extra plating and bone spikes and that along the back, but looking at them up close like this, I think I still prefer the face on the more movie accurate Allosaurus, the battle damage one. It's just got a really cool face sculpt. Other than the teeth, I do think are better on the new one. But they're both great looking dinosaurs, so I think there's room for both in the collection. I hope this means that the Allosaurus is going to be used in the new Chaos Theory cartoon series, because I've always been a fan of Allosaurus, but I don't think it's really been given its dues in Jurassic World so far. Like, it's barely appeared in the movies. It had that short in Battle at Big Rock, but that wasn't really anything, you know, it was just a quick fight and that was it. The toys up until the Battle Damage one had all been too small. So I'm really glad that we're now getting larger Allosaurus toys, and potentially it is going to feature as a main threat in the Chaos Theory cartoon, rather than keep using the T-Rex and the Velociraptor all the time. Let's make use of some of these other dinosaurs. So thanks for joining me for this look at the Epic Evolution Allosaurus and this comparison with the Battle Damage one. Both great looking Allosauruses. I'm glad we're getting these larger scale ones, and hopefully we'll be seeing it in the new Camp Cretaceous sequel series, Chaos Theory. So thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you again soon.